You might have heard the term burnout before. In this video, I will discuss what burnout is, how to manage it, and the types of burnout research done at the Restore Lab. Simply put, burnout is emotional exhaustion from work. It can be characterized by feeling like you don't have enough energy, having an overall negative attitude towards your job, feeling like you don't care about your job anymore, and having reduced professional efficacy, meaning reduced feelings of accomplishment at work. It's important to note that burnout is not a medical condition. However, it can have a negative impact on your quality of life and your ability to work. In the next few slides, we'll look at some signs and symptoms of burnout, and it can easily be understood that this phenomenon can have a negative impact on your health and well-being. So let's start off with the psychological signs and symptoms of burnout. You might experience concentration issues, depressive symptoms like low mood, feelings of worthlessness, loss of pleasure, and a big one is fatigue, which is feelings of tiredness. You might experience some or all of these symptoms at work. There are some physical problems you might notice if you're burnt out as well. Gastrointestinal problems, high blood pressure, getting sick often because of stress, having frequent headaches, and having difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep. As you can see, burnout's physical and mental symptoms can have a big impact on your ability to function in daily life. The Canadian Psychological Association separates risk factors into two categories. There are individual factors that increase likelihood of burnout, as well as organizational factors. Individual factors that increase likelihood of experiencing burnout include personality traits like being a perfectionist and having a highly driven personality. Other factors include placing an unnecessarily high importance on work, having low self-esteem, family disruptions, difficulty in setting boundaries, and having poor adaptation strategies to stress in your daily life. Organizational factors are items that come from the organization and the work structure, work environment itself. Aspects like high workload, discrimination, bullying, unfair treatment, a lack of support, and also a disconnect between personal values and organizational values, among others, can lead to burnout symptom among workers. As mentioned previously, having a lack of social support can actually be a factor that leads to burnout. This qualitative study identified two antecedents of job burnout, one being unmanaged occupational stress, another being a lack of social support. So now let's discuss the methods that's used to measure burnout. Quantitative methods are usually used when we're dealing with a questionnaire. A questionnaire that's based on scales or yes or no responses can be used to create graphs like this on the right. Qualitative methods usually use interviews, which can be done on specific working groups where a researcher is interviewing a worker about their experiences with work, burnout, and stress. Both of these are very useful methods. They have their own strengths and weaknesses when we're learning about burnout among workers. At the Restore Lab, we engage in quantitative research to understand burnout. This typically is done using questionnaires like the Copenhagen Burnout Inventory. And examples of questions used to assess work burnout are closed-ended questions. So they're usually yes or no questions, Or the question asks the respondent to rank their level of burnout on a scale of 1 to 10, for example. Questions like, do you feel worn out at the end of the day? Are you exhausted in the morning at the thought of another day of work? Do you have enough energy for friends and family during leisure time, etc.? Another way to assess burnout is through qualitative interviews. An example of a working population would be to determine burnout among healthcare providers, like doctors and nurses. You might have seen that in the media. Examples of questions to assess health worker burnout can include, what kind of stress do you experience in the workplace? Have you found ways to manage the stresses you experience? Do you feel supported by your employer in dealing with stressors? These are examples of questions from a qualitative study by Howe et al., and these authors are members of the Restore Lab. So this was a qualitative study that asked the following questions to healthcare providers. If you're an employee experiencing burnout, here are some tips you can use. Relaxation and mindfulness can help. Time management, cognitive behavioral therapy, seeking social support, self-care, and reevaluating your own values in relation to the organization. Cognitive behavioral therapy can change the way you think about work and help you with problem solving. This form of therapy in particular can also help with addressing the mental symptoms of burnout, like fatigue, having a low mood, depressive symptoms, etc., as well as general worry about work and the tasks at hand. Therapy can also help with time management skills and self-care. Time management is very important for helping employees to reduce stress. If you're an employer, you can consider clearly defining job roles and expectations, defining organizational values, recognizing when your employees are doing a good job in their work, as well as rewarding them with incentives, working towards building a healthy and supportive work environment, and ensuring that workplace bullying, harassment, and discrimination is not occurring, involving employees in decision-making related to work tasks. This would try to give back some autonomy to the employees in the work that they're doing and the decisions that they get to make. And finally, ensuring employees have reasonable work schedules and tasks to complete on a daily basis. Linked below in this video are some self-screening tools you can use to determine if you might be experiencing burnout. But please note that these tools are not meant to diagnose or recommend treatments. Talk to your healthcare provider for proper diagnosis and treatments. But these self-screening tools, one from AstraZeneca and another from MindTools, can really help with determining whether you might be experiencing burnouts. So you might be wondering, how does understanding burnout relate to the lab's mission in occupational health? To start off, occupational science is about the study of what people do for a living. These populations can include school-aged individuals, workers, as well as people who do not work. Maybe they stay at home or are retired. So burnouts can affect any occupation group, whether you're a student, whether you're a worker, or whether you're at home. Any occupation group can experience burnout. So moving on to the next slide, whoever you are, you're not alone. Burnouts can affect anyone. And whether you're a student, a worker, or watching this video to learn more about burnout, it's important to understand that this can happen to anyone and that there are resources to support you. Linked in the bio are some mental health resources in Canada, America, and the UK if you are in distress.